Hello, this is Mark Hubbs with Aris Gone Bullet Molds. Someone recently asked me how to age a reproduction revolver to give it an old look. And to tell the truth, I'm not much one for aging current revolvers. But there is one situation where you may want to consider removing some blue. And that's the blue from the cylinder on your Colt Walker revolver. There are about 2,000 of these made originally, and many of the originals today that are in good shape indicate that the cylinder was actually left unfinished. And I'm going to show you an easy way to take that finish off should you choose to do so. Stick with us. Colt produced only 1,100 Walker revolvers. 1,000 of those went to the military and 100 went to the civilian market. Of those, only about 100 still exist. Most of those revolvers are not in very good condition. And those that are in good condition typically have little or no finish. But what's apparent with those that are in excellent condition is the lack of bluing on the cylinders. And it's been confirmed that these were all shipped with no finish on the iron cylinders. It's unknown why Colt chose to do this, but most likely it's because he had to rush to get these revolvers out to the field and meet his contract deadline. When the reproduction Walkers came onto the market in the 1960s, all of them had bluing on the cylinder. In fact, the ones made today are the same way. And I assume that they never left them bright just because they knew the buying public wouldn't understand why they had no finish. So all the Walkers you'll see today have a very nice deeply blued cylinder. My reproduction isn't a birdie, made in 1982, and it came in a case set, and I was fortunate in that it had an extra cylinder in the box. And so it gave me the option of having one left blued and one scrubbed bright. And I have to admit, even though I know the bluing is not authentic for this revolver, I probably would not have done this had I not had an extra cylinder on hand. I'm going to walk you through step by step on how I took the blue off of this cylinder. And this is the only chemical I use, this plain old white vinegar, 5% acetic acid. You could use one of the special rust and blue removers that are available, but really this does just as well, and it's very cheap. Before you start the debluing, you need to make sure that all the grease and oil is off of your cylinder. Now you can use acetone or alcohol or something like that, but just plain old soap and water. A good degreaser like Dawn will get everything off that's needed, and it'll make sure that the acetic acid in the vinegar can do its job. You should remove the cones or the nipples before you get started. You can leave them blue or remove the bluing from them in a separate operation. Rinse all the soap off and then run some hot water on the cylinder. This will heat up the metal, and it will allow the vinegar to act even faster once you drop it into the solution. I used a glass jar, and in this case mainly so you can see the action as it happens. You could also use plastic, but don't put it in a metal container for this operation. Try to keep it from touching the side and then completely cover it with straight vinegar. You don't need to dilute it. I left it in the vinegar for 30 minutes, and this is plenty of time for it to remove the blue. I went back and checked on it about every 10 minutes, switched it around, pulled it out one time and wiped it just to see if the blue was coming off, and it was. And actually it probably would have done the work in 20 minutes. But you need to keep an eye on it. Don't go off and leave it for too long. So as you can see here, after 30 minutes, the blue is completely gone, and it's gone from all the little nooks and crannies. It left the metal a little dull, and we'll address that in just a few minutes. The next step is to completely rinse the cylinder. Make sure you get all the vinegar off of it. And we'll go a step further here. I'll put it back into the jar, and I'm going to put about 2 tablespoons of baking soda on it. And this will help neutralize any of the remaining acetic acid from the vinegar. And you don't have to leave it in there too long. About 2 tablespoons is what I put in. And I'll fill that up, and with this is warm water, by the way. And make sure it gets into all the nooks and crannies. And then when I'm satisfied that it's well rinsed, I'll pull it out. I have an electric buffing wheel, and I could put this cylinder on that wheel and give it a absolutely mirror finish in short order. But I don't think that's what's required in this situation. I think a Scotch brand scratch pad or polishing pad is the best bet. It will give a mild shine to the steel and make sure it's completely clean. It'll take all that dull color off of it, brighten it up, but it won't give it a mirror finish, which I think would be inappropriate. And once I had it polished up, I rinsed it again with hot water and then shook the water off, and I put it into an oven with the lowest setting that you can have. In my case, it was 175 degrees, and I heated it until the water was all evaporated, and it heated the surface of the metal for this next step. Museums use a product called Renaissance wax, or another one called British Museum wax, to help preserve the surface of metal to keep them from oxidizing. And I found that neutral color shoe polish has almost the same formula. And so here I am with the hot cylinder there. I'm waxing it with this neutral polish, and I'm letting it melt into all the little nooks and crannies on the engraving and the nipple recesses and so forth. I want to completely cover it, and it being hot allows that wax to flow very well and coat all the surfaces. This wax treatment is not permanent by any means. When they wax items like this in a museum, they sit idle, they're not touched. So this will rub off, and if you use oil, it will take it off also. But at least down in those areas that you can't reach very well, those areas will remain protected, and hopefully that rust will not be able to form there. This part is purely optional, something I chose to do. You may choose not to do this. After you get this done, if you choose to do it, be sure to oil your chambers and your cylinder pin hole and the nipple threads before you move on to reassembly. So here's the before and after. Here's the Walker with the blue on the cylinder, and presto changeo, here it is with the bluing removed. And actually I think the contrast is quite pleasing. Well, there you have it. And as you can see, it's a very simple operation. Just take your time and be careful with the vinegar and how long you have your cylinder submerged. If you got any questions or comments, please leave them below. I'll put a link to my website in the description of the video here. Please visit Errors Gone Bullet Molds. You can see all the latest offerings we have for historic projectiles for your black powder guns. Thanks for watching.